Alright, we're back with another Indie Game Spotlight video here on the channel. And we are continuing with the games we play during the Steam Summer Festival. But every Wednesday night, we spend it playing nothing but indie games, and these videos are the recaps. And if you'd like me to go to your game in the future, please get in touch. We are beginning with a very unassuming game. This is Pokey Poke. And while it may not look like it, this was one of my favorite games we played from the festival. So the concept is that this is a kind of, not so much a puzzle platformer, but it's more of an obstacle course platformer, in similar vein to Celeste, where it's not just about getting through the levels, it's about collecting all the bonus challenges and doing some insane platforming in the process. Now our twist this time around is our spear. And you're not going to be using the spear for killing, but for all manner of movement tech. This includes hitting switches as you saw right there, sticking it into grass or dirt in order to kind of propel or launch yourself around. You can bounce off stone, and there's a lot of very interesting and very challenging movement tech that's involved in this game. Now, the footage that you're seeing again is from the demo from the festival, so we couldn't get too far in. But it seems like the game is going for an open style progression, as you're looking for various gems that signify completing trials and challenges, which will then be used to unlock more progress and do more in the world itself. Now, I really enjoyed playing this game despite me dying several times doing this part. This may not look it, but this is a very technical minded platforming. You have to be very quick using your mouse to adjust where your spear is pointing to get the necessary velocity and actual hit, as you can see me trying to get that point up there. So if you are somebody who found Celeste to be on the right side of challenging, or you're looking for something that's definitely going to test your skills, I would definitely keep an eye out on Pokey Poke. And like I said, I am really going to hope to see more of this game when it is released, I believe sometime either in end of 2020 or 2021. But with that, we're moving on to Learning Factory. And this is essentially, I guess, Factorio if it was about cats. So our story is that we are creating a factory in order to use machine learning to figure out what cats really want. And yes, that is our entire process here. So the basic concept again is that we're going to be using resources and setting up logistics chains in order to produce goods that our cats want. And we have a portal here that apparently is warping cats in from around the world. And then we're going to extract that data and use it to try and figure out once and for all, what do cats want when they meow and do stuff in your home? So if you're a cat lover, I think this game may just be an instant buy. So the footage that you're seeing is kind of pre-alpha, and again was part of the Festival of Games. So that does mean that we really didn't get too much of it. But as per like this kind of logical based design, like Factorio and some of the other games we've played, it does follow with all those necessary beats. You're going to set production chains that are probably not the best to begin with, to then go back over them and do more. The game is set up kind of campaign style, at least in the version that we played, where you'll need to complete tasks in order to unlock new structures, which can then be used to further move the story along, and you'll eventually get more upgraded materials and machines you'll have to deal with. The only kind of, unique element, at least from what we played, is that you have to set the pricing for goods so that the cats will want them. And as you get better items, you want to adjust those pricing accordingly. Because, again, cats are very fickle buyers, as we all know. So there really wasn't, a lot in terms of emergent behavior. Nowhere near the same level that we see from something like Factorio. But the game definitely has promise. And if it can deliver on kind of a more gentle or more friendlier version of the complicated nature of a game like Factorio, then this could certainly be a winner. and you'll learn about machine learning with cats as well. And with that, we turn to Exophobia. This is an open-style first-person shooter, kind of modern retro take. Graphics kind of remind me of, like early 90s FPSs. And the game itself is kind of built around very challenging gameplay. You'll only have a few hits to survive, and you'll be exploring these set areas, looking for upgrades, save rooms to mark your progress, and the game has a really nice aesthetic to it. Now, from what we played during the festival, there wasn't too much in terms of long-term progression. Each area has various upgrades and secret things you can find, but typically there's going to be a weapon or some new ability that you're going to find, or obviously like a key card, that will move the story along. And for what's here, I was getting into Exophobia. It does have some like the old school annoyances. I don't believe there is a mini-map or any map you could use, and you're going to be wandering through a lot of samey looking corridors. I hope you like this kind of like bluish green, because you're going to be seeing it a lot when you're playing this game. But definitely if you are a fan of FPSs, and again more of the classical, we only allow cutscenes, just go around, kill lots of bad guys, then I think you're going to enjoy playing Exophobia. And with that, we move on to Nordic Warriors. This is a, spiritual successor to Myth, which was a classic RTS that was built around kind of a persistent army, and a game that I did not get a chance to play back in the day. So for this one, we are going with a Viking theme, as we're going to be taking our lovely warriors here and marching across the map and trying to keep them alive as long as we can. Now, the demo itself took place over a few missions, again, with our army being persistent across it. Now, the big thing about this game is how much the formation and kind of keeping your units planned is important, because you want to get enemies with spells but not hit your units. You want to protect your back line, and it's really about how you engage with the enemies as opposed to when. You want to make sure that you are fighting them when your units are fully healed, when you have enough magic, and you want to try and avoid as much combat as you can in order to preserve your units' health, and again, not to get them killed before you get to the next part of the map. Now, with that said, I didn't see too much to this game as we played through the demo, and I'm not sure if there is any base building or resource management along those lines. I'm sure fans of Myth could let me know more about in the comments. But in today's market, when there's so few RTS games being released, having something along these lines I think definitely does help. And I'm curious if anyone did pick this up, what did you think of it? But with that said, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have a few more indie games to look at for today's video. And now for a quick shout out to our current Game Wisdom supporters and sponsors. Going forward, all Patreon supporters will get early access to our videos. And if you'd like to continue this discussion on game design, be sure to check out our Discord channel, linked down below. If you're looking for more wisdom about game design, be sure to check out my latest offering of books, 20 Essential Games to Study, aimed for first-time developers and students looking for some inspiration for their upcoming games, and Game Design Deep Dive Platformers if you're interested in anything regarding 2D and 3D platforming design. They're both available in print, digital, and wherever books are being sold. We now turn to, the aptly named Ring of Pain, which could best be described as Slay the Spire, mixed with Shin Megami Tensei, as we are stuck in a very strange world trying to make sense out of what's going on, while weird card-based creatures and events are getting in our way, all with some very ominous foreshadowing and discussions that may hint at something greater going on. And again, the art of this game definitely stands out in that trippy, what the heck is this, I guess, kind of aesthetic. And the general process is that each floor has you choosing from 2 different paths. As you go down a path, more events will kind of cycle in from that side. And you'll need to decide where you go and what you engage first. Now, in the bottom of the screen, you can kind of make out some of my stats. And taking items will influence your stats, usually affecting one thing positively and another thing negatively. And whatever your stats are, will then affect kind of the potency of other gear, events, and things along those lines. You can try and skip past certain cards if you so choose, but if you get caught, then you'll be forced to try and get around it. And your overall goal is to make it to the door that is in each area. Go through the door, and you'll move on to the next floor. The game did hint at having boss fights and some strange encounters. And it goes for more of this kind of node-based design by the fact that it's all cards that you're progressing through on each level. And a creepy big bird over there is, I think, our shop / kind of guide through this crazy world. The UI does a great job of conveying what's going on, what you're going to do if you attack, and the results of all that. Now, in the upper left-hand corner, you see kind of our currency, which is used at the various shops. And I think my one kind of general complaint was that there is a lot to follow in terms of symbology. And until you kind of learn it, you may be kind of having trouble, you'll be kind of guessing your way through in terms of, okay, if I hit this guy, what's going to happen? What's happening if I choose this versus this and this versus that, and you get the picture. But in terms of kind of the, litany of deck-building roguelikes we've played recently, Ring of Pain has some very unique aspects to it, again, with its crazy aesthetic, and I'll be keeping an eye out for this one when I hope it's released, I think sometime in 2021. And with that, we turn to Project Warlock. This is a game I can definitely recommend, because after playing this demo, I went and bought it during the festival, and we played through it on stream. But this is another modern retro FPS with some amazing looking graphics, especially with this kind of 90s, I'm not sure this quite would be pixel art, or maybe like almost like I think this is another one like those billboard kind of aesthetic to it. And I'm sure again the artists in the comments can comment more on it. But this game plays very much like a continuation of something like Hexen, where it's a first-person shooter, but there is an RPG layer kind of not so much on top of it, but factors in. As you explore each level, you're going to find various upgrades and resources that can be used back at your main hub to unlock further abilities. This includes raising your stats, new magic spells you can use, as well as altering every weapon in the game with one of 2 possible upgrades. So you could turn, let's say, your crossbow into a rapid fire one, or you could turn into like a mega harpoon that just stabs everything and pierces in a single direction. Now, the level design is definitely old school FPS, so expect lots of mazes, and of course enemies just conveniently showing up when you pick up a key or unlock a major door. There are secret doors, hidden levels, I believe, or maybe not so much secret levels. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but there are big boss fights for you to go after, and each area has its own collection of enemies. From giant yetis here, there are skeleton knights, there are cyber mechs you have to fight, and of course giant bosses that would make something like Painkiller proud. My only serious complaint about this one is that it is very much a what you see is what you get. If you're hoping for something more evolved or more intricate, like Doom Eternal or more modern day FPSs, Project Warlock is not going to do it for you. But this is an all-around amazing game, and I would definitely recommend it for FPS fans. And for our final game in this video, we're taking a look at Undungeon. And this is one of those games that it feels like it's trying to do a lot. And it was kind of hard to tell from the demo where it's going to land and if it's going to stick that landing. So, our story is that essentially the multiverse is in trouble. And it's up to us, as what appears to be this kind of demon-looking guy, we need to explore various different dimensions in order to figure out what's going on and save everybody. So, the game itself, if you're watching this, you can definitely see kind of shades of something like Hyper Light Drifter, with kind of the very detailed pixel art and somewhat high-speed play that goes into it. And the overall progression as you're exploring these areas, you'll kind of exit to a world map, almost like Fallout 1 and 2 style, as you look around to get to each new point of interest, while interacting with the various creatures, and I believe there are some decisions that will affect the story or what upgrades and things you get access to. And like I said, there's definitely something here about Undungeon. Like, there are a lot of moving parts going on in this game, and I just don't know from playing the demo how well it does everything. I remember I had some issues with just the general responsiveness of combat. If I remember right, this is one of those games where you can't necessarily dodge cancel, or it's not as elegant as it should be. So you can have enemies start attacking you almost immediately, and it becomes very hard to get out of the way of that. And the whole kind of multiverse concept of this game, I'm not quite sure where it's going to go in terms of gameplay. Whether there are multiple characters, multiple things to do, etc., etc. And I would say with something like Undungeon, I'm interested in this game, but I would like to see more of it. I know developers, I know the demo of this game is still out, and developers, I think, pushed this game back to some extent. So, I would say give this one a check if you're looking for something, again, like a spiritual successor to Hyper Light Drifter. And maybe we'll check this one out again when the game is released or further out. With that said, we're going to wrap up this Indie Dev Showcase video for tonight. If you're interested in any of the games we showed, you'll find links to them and their store pages in the description down below. Again, if you are working on a game and would like me to take a look at for a future stream, please get in touch. We are always looking for new games to check out. Come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Until next time, take care. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed things, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing that the kids are doing these days. Check out our Discord channel link down below where we hang out and chat game design, and come back later tonight for our regular streamings. But that's it, and tune in for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.